7 o'clock right now. It may be cold outside, but that is a good thing. We take you to Madison's Polar Plunge. Now the event raised money for Special Olympics.
And we have alert days in the forecast for bitterly cold temperatures. I'll talk about how cold it could get coming up.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. This is Weekend Mornings here on this Sunday, February the 16th. I'm Kyle Pazorski, and we start with that first warm forecast with Jacob. And good morning, Jacob. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, the alert days that are in the forecast are not for the snow anymore. Now, we are still seeing some snow right now, but this is likely going to be very light and will not last much longer. The alert days are for the bitter cold temperatures, but right now the temperatures, at least in southern Wisconsin, not too bad yet. Now it is a lot colder the further north you go, just 7 in Eau Claire. And as we take a look at the current wind speeds, they're around 10 to 20 miles per hour, and they're almost due out of the north, if not out of the northwest, which is expected to bring in that cold air. So checking out the wind chills right now, they are in the single digits, above 0 for southern Wisconsin, but below 0 for La Crosse and areas to the west and north of that. And the temperatures, they're not going to change much throughout the day because of that northerly wind. So looking at the forecast, we'll see plenty of cloud cover. The temperature is right around 20 right now, and that's going to be the case much of the day. Could see some sunshine before sunset. It will continue to be breezy as well, which will cause wind chills to be kind of around 0 to 5, above 0 today for Madison. A little bit colder in La Crosse, as we will see temperatures only around 12 to 15 degrees. But again, it is going to remain steady. Once again, could see more sunshine as we get into the later portion of the day. But taking a look at the overnight forecast, the actual temperatures will likely drop below 0. And the wind chills will be well below 0. I'll talk about just how cold they could get coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Several communities in Wisconsin do continue to be under snow emergencies this morning, all to help keep parked cars off the roads and make room for the snow plows to do their job. Some big ones that are still in effect include Janesville, Beloit, and La Crosse. Meanwhile, Stoughton will go through Monday, and you can find all these orders and the details on when they end online at channel3000.com. Want to make sure you guys are aware of that this morning. Well, while many worked to clear their cars out of the snow yesterday, others in the Madison area looked to take a plunge. More than 550 people made the jump into the icy Yahara River on Saturday afternoon, and it's all in support of Special Olympics Wisconsin. 100% of the proceeds raised go to the more than 14,000 Special Olympics Wisconsin athletes. If you would like to donate to them to help their cause or get involved, you can go to Polar Plunge or get involved with the Polar Plunge. Check that. You can go to specialolympicswisconsin.org/plunge. All right, next this morning, news out of the Capitol. Governor Tony Evers is proposing significant changes to the state's corrections system. The twofold plan looks to stabilize the prison population while also modernizing state facilities. This would ultimately end up closing a prison in Green Bay and make a series of remodels to existing prisons. Evers shares these details on Friday and officially put out the word this morning.
We'll save Wisconsin taxpayers about $1 billion right up front by not building a new facility that won't help us anytime soon because it won't be done for another decade.
Well, the governor's plan further includes moving juvenile inmates from the embattled Lincoln Hills facility to a series of smaller sites around the state, and we expect to hear more about this and other priorities at a budget address planned for Tuesday this week. President Trump continues to aggressively push forward with his agenda in ways that have bucked traditional norms and have been challenged legally. As CBS's Christian Benavidez reports, the new Trump administration also made its debut on the world stage.
Without explanation, President Trump posted on social media this weekend, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." His new administration has aggressively pushed legal and constitutional boundaries to carry out his agenda, including in New York City, where Trump downplayed federal corruption charges against the city's mayor, Eric Adams.
But I know nothing about the individual case. I know that they didn't feel it was much of a case.
As the charges, which included bribery, were suddenly dropped, the mayor said he would start allowing federal immigration agents to work inside the city's infamous Rikers Island jail. 7 career prosecutors resigned after refusing orders to drop the charges against Adams. The mayor had pleaded not guilty and denied any wrongdoing.
This is about a new administration being very comfortable saying, this is what we will do, members of the Department of Justice, and either resign or implement what I'm telling you to do.
In a new interview with Fox News host Sean Hannity, President Trump and Elon Musk addressed Musk's growing influence within the Trump administration.
Elon called me. He said, you know, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely.
On the world stage, Vice President J.D. Vance's comments while addressing a crowd of European leaders in Germany has alarmed traditional U.S. allies.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within.
Vance accused Europe of eroding free speech by muzzling far-right anti-immigrant political parties and of failing to control their borders. Cristian Benavides, CBS News.
Additionally, the Trump administration officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, are set to meet with Russian officials over the war in Ukraine later on this week, becoming the first meeting between the delegations from the two nations since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in early 2022. And across the country yesterday, several protests took place outside of Tesla dealerships, and this is in hopes of bringing attention to Elon Musk's actions within the federal government with the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. These protests were seen in large cities of New York, Boston, and San Francisco, and Madisonians also taking part Saturday for the nationwide Day of Action. At the dealership on Siebold Road, south of Highway 12, well, we saw a few there with signs in their hands. And here's what one of those protesters had to say about why they chose to come out.
Call for a boycott of Tesla. Nobody voted for Elon Musk, but everybody can boycott Tesla, the company that's made him the richest man in the world. He's an extremist who's been tearing apart the United States government. And he's doing a lot of harm to the people of the United States and greatly increasing our risks. So we need to get him out of government.
It was this past week when attorneys generals from 14 states challenged Musk's authority to access sensitive government data and exercise virtually unchecked power in a lawsuit filed on Thursday. Well, meanwhile, OpenAI's board of directors has formally rejected a $97 billion purchase offer by Musk and other investors. In a statement posted to social media this past week, OpenAI's board chair said the company is not for sale, and the board unanimously rejected the bid. There's been a long-running feud between OpenAI and Musk, who co-founded the company known for creating ChatGPT. OpenAI started as a nonprofit research lab with a for-profit entity, but it plans to restructure in a way that could make fundraising easier and increase returns. Looking overseas now, this morning, heavy bombs from the U.S. have arrived in Israel after the Trump administration lifted a hold. Israel's defense minister says the shipment represents, quote, a significant asset for the Air Force and the IDF. The Israeli defense minister further thanked Trump and the U.S. administration for their unwavering support. Pope Francis continues to be hospitalized for bronchitis treatment. The Vatican confirmed as much on Friday. It is the latest in a string of ailments that have raised concerns about the 88-year-old pontiff's health, and he's been to the hospital a number of times in recent years, including for an abdominal surgery back in 2023. We are coming up now on 7:10 here on your Sunday morning. Still ahead, alert day conditions continue across southern Wisconsin. When we come back, Jacob tracks out what's to come now that the snow has moved out.
Good morning, everybody. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. We are going to continue to see some light flurries today. Nothing is expected to be too heavy, but then The big story today will be the alert day has begun. It's going to last through Wednesday. It's really going to begin tonight. During the day today, it's still not going to be too bad, but the temperatures are going to plummet overnight. And I also want to mention that it will be dry after today. So looking at the current radar again, these light flurries are expected to continue for the next couple of hours. The snow is likely not going to accumulate much, but we may continue to see some of these flurries through about the early afternoon. But then by the time we get towards sunset, the snow will certainly be out of the area then. But looking at the alert day, during the morning hours, the next couple of mornings, starting tomorrow, I should say, wind chills will likely be in the -20s. This is for all of southern Wisconsin, but this is really going to include all of Wisconsin as a whole because areas further north are likely to be even colder. So taking a look at the current winter wind chill bulletins, the cold weather advisory is in the light blue. The dark blue is the extreme cold watch. The extreme cold watch is for Tuesday morning. Cold weather advisory is for tomorrow morning. And I do want to point out that the areas in the dark blue are under a cold weather advisory for tonight. That's just the extreme cold watch is kind of supplanted over the cold weather advisory for tonight. Now, the big reason for this temperature drop will be the winds. We'll see gusts up around 30 miles per hour throughout the day today. So it's definitely going to be breezy out there, but the winds aren't going to be too bad. But with the cold temperatures, it will cause wind chills to be kind of around 0 today because the actual temperatures will be near 20. But then as we get to the overnight hours, the actual temperatures will drop below 0, which will cause wind chills to drop into the -20s by Monday morning. So here's a look at that wind chill forecast. Below 0 by the evening for southern Wisconsin, -20 right around that level for Monday morning, even colder further north and west. Little to no improvement for Monday afternoon. It's going to continue to be bitterly cold, and Tuesday morning may actually be the coldest morning as wind chills could get down to -30, and it's going to continue to be brutal beyond that. So like I showed a moment ago, we are going to have frostbite occur in as little as 20 to 30 minutes with these wind chills. Thankfully, the winds aren't going to be too bad after today and tonight, but the temperatures will be even colder during that time frame. So again, do not spend a prolonged period of time outside, and if you have to be outside for any reason, definitely bundle up, coat, hat, gloves, scarf, everything, because it is going to be dangerously cold at times. I mean, we've had this before earlier in January. This is going to be a very similar type of stretch with these cold temperatures. Getting a little bit better by Thursday and then a lot better by early next week. Also notice, as I mentioned, not going to see much snowfall after today, but the snow on the ground is not going anywhere with these cold temperatures.
Yeah, and then we have the spring primary on Tuesday. It's going to be really cold for that. Kind of unfortunate, but hopefully people will still be able to get out to the polls and everything.
Yeah, definitely bundle up. It's not going to be a pleasant one out there.
All right. Thank you, Jacob. Well, the Mount Dora Police Department is warning residents of a scam call that occurred on Friday. Mount Dora PD said a resident had received a phone call claiming to be from the police department, and they were asking for money. The police department is warning residents they will not make any calls asking for people for money, and to please hang up and notify Mount Dora PD if a call like that is received. Well, the Wisconsin DNR is saying a wild duck from Milwaukee County died from the highly contagious avian flu. The common merganser was brought to a laboratory in Madison where they confirmed the flu was present. The virus has been detected around Wisconsin, including here in Dane County, since at least mid-December. Canada geese and swans are the most impacted by this, and the DNR asks those who spot dead birds in groups of 5 or more to report these incidents to them for further examining. Out west, Wyoming has identified its first human case of bird flu. Wyoming Department of Health officials say the older woman is the 3rd confirmed hospitalization related to the H5N1 virus in the U.S. The woman was hospitalized in another state and has health conditions that raise her risk of severe illness. Officials believe the woman was exposed to the virus through a flock of infected poultry at her home. The CDC maintains that the overall risk of bird flu to the public remains low. There have been nearly 70 confirmed infections of bird flu in the U.S., and all but 3 have had known exposures to animals. 1 person has died. And it is that pesky bird flu that's leading to skyrocketing prices of eggs across the country. As Uba Ali from CBS affiliate WCCO explains, many bakeries are now feeling the increase.
No matter who you ask
I've never seen them so high.
Thanks so much.
or where you go, one thing is top of mind.
Price of eggs were going up like crazy.
A common ingredient, now a luxury.
In this day and age, like, eggs are gold.
The spike, the loss of millions of laying hens due to the bird flu, the supply taking a massive hit, driving up costs from the farm to the kitchen, squeezing small businesses like Angel Food and Bakery in St. Louis Park, where eggs are essential.
Never in my life did I think eggs would be this expensive.
Taylor Toronto says the egg prices from their vendor have nearly doubled, hurting their bottom line.
The cupcakes take eggs, cookies take eggs, the donuts take eggs, like everything takes eggs, and it's so costly.
According to CBS News' price tracker, a dozen eggs will cost nearly $5 today. In 2019, it was just under $2. And the Agricultural Department predicts egg prices could increase another 20% this year, forcing some businesses to adjust their prices.
Definitely not trying to make too many products to offset the cost of all the products getting more expensive.
Or get creative to stay afloat to serve their customers. In St. Louis Park, Uba Ali, WCCO News.
Investigators are looking to continue their look into the deadly mid-air crash outside of D.C. They are now saying that equipment failure could be to blame for this crash. On Friday, the National Transportation Safety Board said the on-scene portion of the investigation has wrapped up. The agency also saying there may have been a miscommunication that prevented the helicopter from hearing the message from air traffic control to pass behind the plane.
The portion of the transmission that stated "pass behind the" may not have been received by the Black Hawk crew. Transmission was stepped on by a 0.8-second mic key from the Black Hawk. The Black Hawk was keying the mic to communicate with ATC.
The NTSB says it will now move the wreckage to a secure location this week to continue this investigation. We're coming up now on 7:20 here on your Sunday morning. Still ahead, why there's some cause for concern with wild pigs taking over parts of the Western Plains. Plus, here's a look at today's Day in History.
Well, as I mentioned, we're not going to see much snow after the flurries this morning. And taking a look at the snow chances for the next 7 days and nights, we really are only going to see a small chance of snow Wednesday, but beyond that, the dry pattern will kind of re-enter southern Wisconsin, but the snow on the ground is certainly not going anywhere with those cold temperatures. Now let's take a look at future track. Again, some light snow today, but then we'll see clear skies overnight, and we are going to continue to see dry weather as we head into the day on Monday, the day on Tuesday, and then as we get to Wednesday, we do have a small chance of some light flurries, but that'll be just about it for the forecast this week. Here's a look at those snow chances. It's mostly going to stay south of us, and then we'll see clear skies return for the time we get to Thursday. And looking even beyond that, we're kind of in the edge of the drier than average conditions for the end of February towards the beginning of March. So it's a little bit unclear how it's going to play out. But towards the end of the 10-day forecast, we have a few small chances of precipitation, but nothing extreme at this point.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Well, a fast-growing population of wild hogs roaming Canada have American border states on guard these days. Experts are saying they pose a multi-billion-dollar threat to the U.S. economy. And as CBS's Adam Yamaguchi discovered, the creatures are difficult to hunt and spreading fast.
What do you got there? As the sun sets on the Canadian prairie, the search begins for one of North America's most destructive animals.
These tracks are clearly quite fresh, right? And you can see them going in both directions.
Professor Ryan Brook of the University of Saskatchewan has been tracking them for years.
They're here for sure, no question. And like lots of them, not just 2, 3. There's a lot of pigs out there. It's kind of mildly alarming.
Brook is one of Canada's leading authorities on the so-called super pigs. He calls them an ecological train wreck. They're crossbreeds, wild boars deliberately bred with domestic pigs. Big, smart, and prolific breeders. Their population now spreading out of control.
Why is it so difficult to eradicate this problem?
I think there's 2 challenges in Canada. One is their biology makes them very, very hard to get rid of. They reproduce faster than you can shoot them.
They will eat anything to survive, with devastating consequences.
He's eaten everything that's of value off of it, so he's lost all this.
For local farmers fed up with the damage,
And this year looks like it was a nice looking crop at one time.
there's one man to call, Alain Guillet. He catches and kills nearly 5 super pigs a week.
These pigs can spread disease to humans, to pets, to wildlife, and to livestock.
Americans have reason to worry. Wild pigs already cause around $2.5 billion in damage to U.S. crops every year, and they can be aggressive toward humans. A woman in Texas was killed by wild pigs in 2019.
So here's the border fence in between us and Canada. Just an old barbed wire fence.
Maggie Nutter is a 4th-generation rancher near Sweetgrass, Montana.
You look at all the damage, the billions of dollars, and billions of dollars of damage that those pigs do down south, and the damage that they're doing up in Canada. We can't afford them.
Montana has launched a Squeal on Pigs campaign, urging anyone who's seen feral swine to alert them.
Report it immediately.
For Professor Brook, it's not if the super pigs spill over the border, but when.
Well, this is what I've been warning for now into 15 years and warning anybody who would listen that this is coming.
An invasion that so far appears unstoppable. Adam Yamaguchi, CBS News, near Melfort, Saskatchewan.
And there is still more news ahead on Weekend Mornings. Next, we're going to run through the morning's top headlines. At 7:30 right now, Governor Tony Evers lays out a plan to reform and spend wisely on the state's prison system. And we'll have those details ahead. Plus, the Mad City Railroad Show comes back to Madison, and we'll take you there for all the fun and excitement. But first, Jacob is in this morning with a look at the first warn forecast, tracking out some alert day conditions as we start our new week. This is Weekend Mornings, and thanks for joining us here on this Sunday morning. I'm Kyle Pazorski. It is February the 16th, and rapper Ice-T turned 67 today. Let's start with that first warn forecast, and Jacob joins us with that. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning, Kyle. Taking a look outside at Madison, obviously you can see the snow on the ground, but we are still seeing some light falling snow across southern Wisconsin. However, we're likely not going to see any additional accumulation. The big story going forward is we now have the alert day for the cold temperatures, but at this point in time, the temperatures still not brutal. Now, they're definitely cold out there, and it is a bit windy, but around 20 degrees for Madison, that's going to be balmy compared to what we're going to see the next couple of days, and you can see some of that cold air starting to move in further north, just 7 for you folks in Eau Claire. Now, like I mentioned, we are a bit breezy, around 10 to 20 miles per hour, causing the wind chills to obviously be a bit colder, but again, still not too bad. It is above zero, still cold. However, the further north and west you are, temperatures are below, or wind chills are below zero for La Crosse and up north towards Eau Claire. Now, as we look at the temperatures throughout the day, they're not going to change much for really anybody. They're going to be pretty steady until we get to the evening after sunset, where they're going to drop into the single digits, and then our entire area will drop below zero overnight. And these are just the actual temperatures. The wind chills will be even lower. Now, looking at the full forecast throughout the day, cloudy skies, highs near 20, some light flurries early. We also will see some breezy weather, a few peaks of sunshine later in the day, especially for areas north and west. But again, not much is going to change from what we're seeing right now, other than the fact that we could see some sunshine. But overnight, the temperatures will plummet. I'll talk more about the wind chills coming up in just a bit.
All right, Jacob will check back in just a bit. Starting now with a look at our top stories today, Governor Tony Evers is proposing some significant changes to the state's correction system. The twofold plan looks to stabilize the prison population while also modernizing state facilities. And this would ultimately end up closing a prison in Green Bay and make a series of remodels to existing prisons. We expect to hear more about this and other priorities at a budget address planned for Tuesday. A nationwide protest against Tesla and its owner Elon Musk came to Madison. On Saturday, the dealership on Siebold Road, south of Highway 12, saw a few people with signs in hand. And here's what one of those protesters had to say about why they chose to come out.
Call for a boycott of Tesla. Nobody voted for Elon Musk, but everybody can boycott Tesla, the company that's made him the richest man in the world. He's an extremist who's been tearing apart the United States government, and he's doing a lot of harm to the people of the United States and greatly increasing our risks. So we need to get him out of government.
Other protests seen across the country took place in Boston, New York, and major cities, including Seattle. No injuries were reported after a fire broke out at a stadium concession stand at the Richland Center High School on Saturday morning. The school district said in a Facebook post that the fire occurred early in the morning and appeared to be caused by some kind of electrical failure. As you can see by these pictures, the stand suffered some significant damage, and the district is currently assessing that and determining the next steps for any repairs. Let's take a live look now at the White House in a very foggy morning in D.C. They got some rain as well in the forecast out there. Well, this weekend, President Trump, he is continuing to aggressively push forward his agenda, all while pushing legal and constitutional boundaries. On Saturday, Trump downplayed federal corruption charges brought against New York City's Mayor Eric Adams. And in a new interview with Fox News, the president, alongside Elon Musk, addressed the tech billionaire's growing influence within the administration.
Elon called me. He said, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely. They said, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon Musk. President Musk will be attending a cabinet meeting tonight at 8 o'clock. And I say, It's just so obvious. They're so bad at it.
Meanwhile, on the world stage, Vice President J.D. Vance's comments while addressing a crowd of European leaders in Germany has alarmed some traditional U.S. allies. Vance on Friday accused Europe of eroding free speech by muzzling far-right anti-immigrant political parties and of failing to control their own borders. Workers at an Amazon warehouse in North Carolina have voted against the chance to join a union. The vote results were revealed on Saturday. Only about 25% of those who cast a ballot voted for this union. Saturday's result is just the latest setback now for union efforts to organize against the online retailing giant. It was in 2022 when workers at a Staten Island, New York warehouse voted to join the Amazon labor union, becoming the company's first one. But the company has fought back attempts to unionize at 3 other warehouses since then. On to some more local news. The Alliant Energy Center is playing host to one of the Midwest's largest model railroad shows throughout this weekend. Yesterday, we stopped on by to check it all out. The show features model trains of all sizes running through tracks built by groups from across the Midwest. This is now the 57th time that the Mad City Model Railroad Show has taken place. And attendees of all ages are welcome, with some hobbyists now telling us that you're never too old to be a fan of trains.
I think for a lot of us, we get into this hobby because we like big, colorful, noisy, stinky machines when we're kids. And then we'd say, you know what? I like small machines that represent those things too. Yeah. So this looks like fun.
And it is a lot of fun. I can attest by going there myself yesterday. I really did enjoy it. If you want to check it out for yourself, here are some details. Once again, it is at the Alliant Energy Center, and you'll go to the exhibition hall. Tickets are $14 for adults. Seniors are $13, while children ages 5 to 15 are $6. It is open today from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Following the extra snow that we were treated to on Friday night, the city of Madison has now begun efforts to clear the streets. Residents are asked to choose off-street parking options throughout the rest of this weekend, all to help with their snow plowing operations. The city said plowing can take 12 to 14 hours to complete their routes on the city's more than 1,800 miles of roads. And as for some of the snow emergencies that we've been telling you all about this weekend, many of them are continuing on today with those rules on where you can park. These are designed to really make room on the roads so that the snowplows can do their jobs. Some of the big ones that you're seeing here on this list include Janesville, Beloit, and La Crosse, and those all still have snow emergencies through the rest of today. Meanwhile, Stoughton goes through Monday. You can find the rest of the orders and some of the details on when they end online at channel3000.com. It's 7:37, still ahead on weekend mornings. Country singer Eric Church continues his efforts to help the victims of Hurricane Helene. Stick with us.
A look at the wind chill bulletins across the Midwest. You can see a lot of areas for Wisconsin and to the west going to be seeing these very cold temperatures. Extreme cold warnings and cold weather advisories are in effect. And taking a look at these wind chills, they're going to drop below 0 by the evening. and then they're going to continue to fall to around -20 by the time we get to Monday morning. And for Tuesday morning, it's going to be even colder with very little relief during these afternoon hours. Wind chills possibly near -30 for Tuesday morning, going to be near -30 further up north in Eau Claire for tomorrow morning and Tuesday morning. And we're going to continue to see these bitterly cold temperatures as we head into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. So looking at the wind chill and frostbite time chart, again, frostbite could occur in as little as 20 to 30 minutes. So if you have anywhere to be, definitely bundle up, especially starting tonight, and try to avoid any prolonged activity outside because this cold can definitely get dangerous.
Yeah, prolonged activity outside could be like snow plowing and everything, right? With your snow blower.
Yeah, definitely
shoveling,
try to get some stuff done today because it's going to be cold, but it's going to be a lot better during the day today than it will be at any point Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, and if you do need to shovel and you need to be outside, maybe do it in like 10-minute chunks and then come back inside, get warm, go back outside.
Yeah, but thankfully we're not going to be seeing much snow. We have some flurries right now, but it's likely not going to accumulate. So most of that snow is probably already cleared.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Jacob. Well, some other news we're following this morning. Singer-songwriter Eric Church is continuing towards his goal to help the victims of Hurricane Helene. Last October, Church promised he would build 100 homes in western North Carolina and do so in 100 days. So far, his organization has purchased land outside of Newland, North Carolina, with the hopes of placing 40 homes. It was in December when Church said he had raised more than $12 million towards this effort. The nonprofit says rough winter weather and delays have pushed back the timeline for now for the first homes, which they expect to arrive in June. Taking a look ahead now, several students from Madison will be going on to the Badger State Spelling Bee this March. Yesterday, the All-City Spelling Bee took place in Madison, made up of 3rd through 8th grade students who each won their individual school's spelling bees. The Wisconsin State Journal reports that Benjamin Teakin from O'Keefe Middle School took home the top prize. He, along with the 2nd and 3rd place finishers, they will go on to the Badger State Spelling Bee taking place at the Mitby Theater on March 29th. 7:43 still ahead. Andrew will check back in with a look at Saturday's news and sports. Plus, Jacob has the full first foreign forecast on weekend mornings.
Good morning, everybody. Here's a final look at the 3 things you need to know. Some light snow is expected today. Excuse me, with the alert day expected to begin kind of at some point today into the overnight hours for sure, and it's going to last all the way through Wednesday. Mostly dry conditions as well after the snow clears out today. Looking at the current radar, we are still seeing those light flurries. We are going to continue to see this for the next few hours, but we are not expecting any additional accumulation, maybe a dusting at most. But the snow that's already on the roads, that's pretty much going to be the only hazards we will see from the snowfall in general. The snow today is not really going to add any additional hazards. But looking at the alert day, it is for those wind chills that are likely going to get into the -20s during the morning hours, especially starting tomorrow morning, lasting through Wednesday. So taking a look at the wind chill bulletins, cold weather advisory for all of Wisconsin, and this extreme cold watch is for Tuesday morning, but there also isn't a cold weather advisory for the areas in the dark blue for tonight as well. So places such as Eau Claire, you folks are under the cold weather advisory and the extreme cold watch. So it is going to be cold the next couple of nights, and the big reason for that will be these winds. We'll have wind gusts up around 25 to 30 miles per hour throughout the day. So definitely breezy, but not terribly windy, but it is going to cause those temperatures to remain steady, and then it's going to cause the temperatures to plummet as we head into the overnight hours, still maintaining wind speeds up around 20 miles per hour, at least the wind gusts up around 20 miles per hour. So here's a look at the wind chill forecast once again. It's going to be right around 0 for much of the day today, then dropping below 0 after sunset, and it's going to continue to plummet as we head into Monday morning, near -20 for Madison, near -30 further north towards Eau Claire, and there's pretty much going to be no improvement for Monday afternoon. It's going to continue to be brutally cold, and then for Tuesday morning, it might be even colder. Wind chills near -30 for Madison, and it's going to continue to be well below zero throughout the day Tuesday into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. So once those wind chills drop below zero, they're not going to rise above zero for quite some time. As I mentioned earlier, we also are not going to be seeing much snow after today. Looking at the snow chances beyond the flurries this morning, just a few small chances here and there. So here's a look at the full 7 to 10 day forecast. It will get a little bit better for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but it will still be cold, and then a lot better for early next week, where we actually could see highs in the 40s. And that's also our next solid chance of precipitation, although right now we are still not expecting anything dramatic. But take a look at those overnight lows next week. They're going to be well warmer than the high temperatures the next couple of days. So definitely this bitterly cold air is going to be fairly dangerous at times. So definitely bundle up if you have anywhere to go. And as I've been saying all morning, try to avoid prolonged periods of time outside, because even during the afternoon hours, the wind chills are going to at best be in the negative teens starting tomorrow.
Before the season, Wisconsin men's basketball was picked to finish 12th in the Big Ten. Yesterday, they had the chance to become the first team in the conference to reach 20 wins. The only catch, they had to do it at number 7 Purdue, where UW is 1-9 in their last 10. The first half was as close as it gets, so let's skip to the second. Wisconsin trailing by 3, and John Tonje turned up. Tickles the twine for the triple, but it wasn't just Tonje. As a team, the Badgers shot 72% from the field in the second half and did not commit a single turnover. Max Klesmit gets involved through contact, 3 points the old-fashioned way, giving the Badgers a 9-point lead with 10 minutes to go. Klesmit finished with 17 points and 6 assists, including this sick one to who else but John Tonje. He throws it down and brings down the house, putting Mackey Arena to sleep. Wisconsin wins a huge game by a final score of 94-84, putting yet another top 10 win under their belt. John Tonje led the way with 32 points, and it's safe to say he's glad he transferred to Wisconsin.
I want to give a shout out to all my guys, from the top to bottom. And Kamari McGee got ejected, and that's my brother, and we wanted to get it. We told him in the locker room at halftime, we're going to get this win for you, and we came out here and competed, and I'm so proud of these guys for this. I love Wisconsin basketball, baby.
Wisconsin men's hockey, on the other hand, seems to have come to a standstill after a 17-game stretch a few weeks back where they didn't lose a single game in regulation. Since, they've lost 5 straight, and were hoping last night in Columbus to avoid a 3rd straight sweep. Things were looking good early. Check this one out. Opening faceoff of the second period, and it takes all of 10 seconds for Wisconsin to score. Ryland Mosley's 14th of the year is a beauty. You got to see this again. In the middle of the air, he bats it down with his stick and gets it into the net. You don't find too many cooler than that, but not so cool the end result of this one. Ohio State goes on to win it and sweep the Badgers. The final score in this one, 4-2. That is your morning sports fix. Have a sensational Sunday.
Thank you, Andrew. And still ahead here on Weekend Mornings, it is National Almond Day. Plus, here's a look at what's to come on For the Record.
Hey, Kyle. Yeah, coming up this week on Tuesday, actually, it's a pretty busy week in state politics. We have that statewide spring primary on the docket, as well as the governor's budget address. We're going to preview both this week, previewing the governor's budget address with an exclusive sit-down with the director of Forward Analytics, looking at their new report on income tax collections here in Wisconsin and what that might mean for the state budget as lawmakers are debating how to spend state money. We've also been doing our series of sit-downs with the candidates running to head the State Department of Public Instruction. Elie LaLiberte is taking that on, and we're concluding that series this week with the incumbent Jill Underly. That's all I had this morning at 10:30.
Finally this morning, today is National Almond Day. It is observed every year on February the 16th, and almonds are tree nuts that are native to the Middle East. They thrive in warm, dry areas with mild winters. Almonds are considered a very heart-healthy food. They are also known to lower blood sugar levels, blood pressure, and cholesterol. Not only are almonds good for you, but they are also very delicious and versatile. Almonds are used to make pasta, flour, butter, oil, and of course, almond milk. Jacob has a final check of the forecast. Let's get that.
Thanks, Kyle. Alert days the next several days for the bitter cold. We'll have high temperatures in the single digits, lows below zero, wind chills well below zero. We also will be mostly dry after the flurries today with slight improvement in temperatures Thursday through Saturday and a lot better early next week.
All right, thank you, Jacob, and thank you all for watching. Have a great Sunday, folks.